Today we're playing Legacy of Dragonholt. We're going to introduce our characters and begin the introductory adventure. My name is Pagal. I'm an elven thief, 135-year-old, and male.
And I am Kafka, tribal orc, apothecary class, 29 female.
I might be Hexen, a forge dwarf, knight, 42 female.
I'm Stimson, the Hirix catfolk brawler, age 42, male.
We all have skills that are going to help us along on our quest, and when we come to certain forks in the road, depending on our skill set, we'll be able to advance the story using our skills.
And this is our winch.
My name's Casey and I make fried pickles somehow.
Oh, yeah.
I like this.
Delicious. Fantasy themes. Yeah. All right. You slump down on the wooden bench, stretching your legs. You've been traveling for nearly a week now toward a small village called Dragonholt. Your journey is at the request of Celise, a former adventuring companion and friend who has since found her calling as a tutor to the children of Countess Regina Fairfax, Lady of Dragonholt. You take a moment to reread the letter.
I gotta find it.
This is where you edit out the part where you look for the letter.
There it is.
Jared Lesson has a continuity error.
No. It's just such a streak of grease.
My friend, I pray this letter finds you in good health for once, because I need you to travel. As you might have heard, I have taken a position as a tutor in the household of Lady Regina Fairfax, Countess of Dragonholt, just outside the village. I elected to take this position because I hope for some peace and quiet after that business in Dragonholt. Had I known that my future held, what my future held, I would have done something else entirely. Lady Regina's 3 children are more than lively enough to deny me anything resembling peace or quiet. Even now that they are mainly grown, I remain very busy. But I did not write to you to complain about my lot in life. As you know, I never complain, even when the so-called dwarven wine is very obviously an inferior human vintage, again. Or when my very favorite cloak, the blue one, is stained by some drunken lush spilling his wine. Cheers to that.
Bastard.
Elves should really stay out of human taverns. I write to you because I fear something sinister is at work here in Dragonholt and I require your assistance. I dare not say more openly, as I think it likely this message will be intercepted. I can trust no one here to help me with this matter after that business in Dragonholt. I have only you and a small handful of other allies left. Please help me. There is more at stake than you know. That's Celise, our friend. And on the back it says, please refer to my first letter. You're uncertain why Celise has summoned you to Dragonholt. Her letter is strange, speaking only of a vague threat that requires your assistance. And although you're sure the letter was written in her hand, the message contains several details that you find uncharacteristic of the elf you adventured with in the past. You'd never known Celise to drink dwarven wine, and you would swear that she always wore a green cloak. It's not unthinkable that our preferences have changed over the years, but something about the way the message is written makes you feel there's more to the letter than is obvious. You've always known Celise to be excessively proper in her speaking. She must have been in a panic while writing to have produced so many spelling errors. Even more alarming is the brief note on the back of the letter. You had not received any word from Celise before this one. Could she have sent another letter that was intercepted, as she had feared? Regardless of the vagueness of her request, you owe Celise at least this much after that business in Dragonholt. As the tutor in the employ of a countess, she may be in a position to reward you handsomely for any assistance you can render. Excuse me, is this road the fastest way to Dragonholt? You look up from the letter to see Miriam, a gnome merchant you've been traveling with, talking to another traveler and pointing down a path toward a forbidding-looking forest. Aye, if you're going to Dragonholt, you'll have to go through Eventide Forest. Ain't no way around it, about a day's travel straight through. Miriam thanks the traveler, and he continues on his way in the direction opposite the forest. You fold the letter and stow it away before standing. It won't do to rest for too long. You sling your baggage over your shoulder and prepare to resume your travels. Miriam turns to face you. Well, what are we waiting for? If that's the road to Dragonholt, let's be off. Miriam has been traveling with you for some 3 days now. Like you, she's traveling to Dragonholt, and as she put it when you met, the more the merrier. We should proceed with caution, calls Braxton from behind you. The orc woman hefts Miriam's bag off the ground where the gnome had left it and drops it in Miriam's open arms. Rumor has it there are bandits who make camp in these woods. We should watch our backs as we pass through. Since meeting Miriam and the orc knight-errant, you have found Braxton to be the more cautious of the pair by a wide margin. As far as you can tell, Miriam has hired Braxton for protection. But at times, the orc seems to dote on the gnome more than a bodyguard would. You nod in agreement of Braxton's comment. With a last fleeting glance at the crossroads signpost, you follow after the energetic gnome, who's already started off toward Eventide Forest. The choices are: let's make some headway before we lose the light. What else have you heard about these bandits? Stick close, Miriam. It's dangerous to get separated. We all can now decide who makes this choice, and sometimes that's going to depend on our special abilities. But in this case, we don't have any requirements, so I can just go ahead.
I would say just, yeah.
Be on our way.
What do you think? Be on our way before we get started.
Do we need to be more informed
Is
about bandits?
Is there any way to get more information?
Bandits are bandits.
Who doesn't know anything about
Banditry
bandits?
has the same. I don't know. The only options are to try to get our gnome, who's going to be like our companion. I feel like through the whole adventure, sort of, because she's like the NPC that it's like indicating is like our NPC.
Mm-hmm.
So we can either try to. She can fend for herself, right? Let's just make some headway.
I don't know. She's probably going to get attacked and killed if we don't.
Ah!
That's true.
Yeah, I mean,
Stay close.
we should probably say something to her. And then move.
Can you say the options again?
Let's make some headway before we lose the light. What else have you heard about these bandits? Stick close, Miriam. It's dangerous to get separated. Maybe they're
I'd like the second option.
learn
You
about
know
the
about
damage.
bandits?
Learn about the damage.
Well,
I
I
mean,
just
maybe
felt
it's
like
a
I wanted more
particular-
information.
A particular kind of danger, like maybe they have a, like we wouldn't know they had like a wizard or something.
I would feel like it's gonna be like, I don't know.
Miriam, I feel like, can probably fend for herself, being in the character creation that they were explaining. She's streetwise and everything.
Do we have a group leader
No, we choose all together. Who makes the decision, then that person picks.
for this specific?
Yeah,
Each
the group-
choice.
The group seems split. You make the decision.
Alright, let's just hold up 1, 2, or 3, and whoever votes for what wins.
I think you and I already voted for 3. Did you vote for 3?
Yeah, I'm
I kind of
voting
voted for 3. Jeremy voted for 2.
And another option is we could nominate a general group leader that
I mean,
generally.
I think.
Well, once your stone is flipped, you're completely out of the running. You don't have the opportunity to do another choice or read another thing until.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be one person also just runs off, and then you have to follow.
This is tough. I mean, I don't want us to get ourselves into any danger.
I think we're prepared for danger.
I'm all for some danger.
I've got
Let's
survival
do it.
and streetwise.
Okay, we're gonna make some headway before we lose the light.
All right.
What do we say?
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's 2883.
Alright.
We need to decide maybe
Holy crap.
who. We have to sort of. So I made my decision. So maybe we should just go clockwise for the reading situation. 2883. And then you don't have to make the choice, but I guess you just read it.
Okay. Farther down the road, Miriam turns to call out, "Hurry along, Braxton, or you'll be left behind." You hustle forward to catch up to the gnome and keep pace with her. Braxton falls in just behind you. "I understand your enthusiasm, but we must take our time once we enter the forest or we may become lost." Mark story point. I think it's 0. I think it's 0.
Oh no. So we hurried along too fast. Oh, one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it could be a 0, 1, but I think it's 0.
Yeah, there's a letter.
And do I read the story point section?
I covered all that. It's just telling you how to mark it in.
Okay, so I think we have 2 choices. Correct me if I'm wrong. Option 1, we'll be fine as long as we stick to the road. Option 2, do the rumors about bandits have any merit?
It's told us twice to worry about the bandits now.
Yeah.
Maybe we should talk
I mean,
about
it's
bandits.
Jeremy's more than asked, so just ask about the
Let's
bandits.
find out some
Yeah,
shit
let's
about
find
bandits, y'all.
Sounds good. So I'll go ahead and flip mine over, since that was sort of how I was feeling anyway. And then we go to 3298, so I'll just pass it along.
Sure.
Let me find 3298. I was right there. Braxton strides beside you, keeping an ever-watchful eye on her eager companion. Not much. I've just heard from some travelers that a number of caravans have been ambushed while passing through. Valuable goods were taken, but the merchants and traders have been mostly unarmed. Mark story point R6, read 1340.
Typical banditry.
And does he keep going?
For sure. Well, maybe. We can go around.
But he didn't make a decision, so he
Okay.
doesn't have to flip his.
Yeah.
As you speak with your traveling companions, small trees begin to dot the terrain around you. Tall grass gives way to brush, and you soon find yourself at the edge of the forest. Let's see, hold on.
We don't have to do this.
The passage of time, should I read that?
I've got it here.
Okay, you're
We
good.
just mark it as it tells us.
Alright, so as you walk,
I was gonna ask
you take the chance to become better acquainted with your fellow travelers. Options are: ask Miriam what she plans to do in Dragonholt. Ask Braxton what she plans to do in Dragonholt.
That's it?
That's two options.
I think we passed Miriam.
Miriam? Okay.
So if this is a choice,
Sounds good. This option does not exhaust your activation token.
it does not exhaust it?
Yeah, it says does not exhaust.
Alright, so you still got it?
Yeah,
Is
I
it
mean,
just those two?
yeah, it's just those two.
What does it say?
Alright, so I'm on board with what Travis says.
Let's ask Miriam.
It says mark story point E7
Here.
and go to 3579. 3579. I'm glad you asked. Bubbles. Okay. Miriam, I am going to set up the finest apothecary's shop that Dragonholt has ever seen. I'll brew potions and sell remedies and make lots of money. She nods, tossing a vial of pink liquid into the air, catching it, and bouncing it on her finger for no particular reason. My aunt can help me get started. She already runs the best inn in town, and she's the fantastic tailor too. Miriam flourishes her her half cape and brightly colored tunic. Alright, we got ask Miriam what types of potions she brews. Ask Miriam about her family. Exchange brewing recipes with Miriam, which requires alchemy, so you're out, Holmes. Compliment Miriam's attire and inquire about its maker. Requires craftsmanship, which I have, or empathy. Tell Miriam what you know about Dragonholt's markets. Requires history and streetwise, or streetwise. Educate Miriam on methods for barter and trade, which requires persuasion and streetwise. So I have persuasion. You have
Just to
streetwise.
clarify, I can't use my skills right now because this is down. Right?
Yeah.
So normally we just get to pick who makes the decision, and we would choose based on who.
Were those first couple supposed to exhaust the tokens? 'Cause they felt like this.
I feel like they weren't supposed to. At least, well,
It would have said it, it didn't explicitly say it didn't.
did you say anything about not exhausting?
I actually don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but I'm pretty sure not.
No, I think it's every decision's exhaust one. But
Mine said not to, so.
Yeah, well, that's the first time that's
Um,
ever happened.
I think we should try to. Well, no, you got alchemy. Shit, that would have been awesome. I have craftsmanship, and we can talk about how she makes her inquire about her attire. Just kind of stupid. I don't know.
Streetwise.
Huh?
Streetwise.
Yeah, you're streetwise. I have persuasion as well.
We don't have to go in clockwise order, right?
Just for the reading, like, I mean,
Wait, Travis.
But
is
if that's
streetwise.
also learning, leading to us like making these, taking responsibility for these decisions at least. I mean, if we do something that uses my skill, let's put that foot in mine.
so now Jared does not have to pick. We can let Travis use his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really want to. I mean, I guess one of us is gonna have to flip. So I really don't like talking about her attire. Sounds
No,
stupid.
that sucks.
Yeah, no.
Maybe streetwise.
Okay, well, you either tell Miriam what you know about Dragonholt's markets, or educate her on the methods of barter and trade.
Let's talk about barter and trade.
Okay.
Excitement.
So let's read.
You have
It's new. It's not
You
sword and
gotta-
sorcery. It's barter and
it's that last one on the top.
Wait, which one?
You switch. It's 850 or something. It's like that last one right there. It tells you where to
On
go.
the methods, right? Yeah, read entry 8508, and I'm using
That
my
used your token,
streetwise
right?
skill.
Or no, that used
Yeah,
your token.
that use his. I use yours.
8508.
I do with reading. We just go around the table whenever there's a new passage.
Or whoever activates their token reads next.
Okay.
Something like that.
Story time.
All right.
You taught Miriam through several strategies for ensuring a good price from her supplies and setting her own prices for clients. This would be easier if I had a clear idea what my expenses will be, muses Miriam. Aunt Safi told me there's a place I can buy where the last apothecary used to keep his shop. It'll all be human-sized, of course, but I can manage. But I don't know how much it will cost or if I'll need to take a loan, Miriam sighs. Ugh, I can figure this stuff out later. Keep your eyes peeled for shrinking violet. It likes to grow in forests like these.
Stinking line?
Shrinking
Shrinking
violet.
violet.
Mark story points H1 and Z2. If 2 or more time has passed, read entry 7494. Otherwise, read entry 7616.
No time has passed.
No time has passed yet? Nothing we've done has taken any time.
No, it tells you very specifically.
Okay.
A time unit has passed.
Alright, so we need to read entry 7616.
Messing up. It's demo round.
Demo
If we mess up.
7616. You continue down the road, and the sky overhead is soon obscured by the foliage of the forest canopy. Streams of sunlight dance around you as a gentle breeze shakes the leafy ceiling. Miriam skips forward and spins through the shafts of light, smiling and laughing. It would be best if you stayed close. Becoming lost in the woods is all too common, and those not accustomed to traveling without the sun or moon to guide them. Despite the orc's warning, Braxton makes no additional effort to keep pace with the playful gnome. If story point N3 is marked, ... otherwise,
It is not marked.
N3 is not marked. So, entry 7094.
Now she's taking about some bandits.
What about you, asks Miriam. What are you planning to do in Dragonholt? Before you can answer, she hunches over and crooks one finger like a sinister hook, putting a sneer into her voice. Are you seeking vengeance on a terrible foe? Just as quickly, she swoons, throwing one hand artfully over her forehead. Or are you in search of love? Miriam tumbles backward over a log with a squawk. She grins up at you from a pile of sticks and leaves. Or maybe it's just a chance encounter. She continues to talk about everything and nothing, before finally pausing for breath. Ask Miriam about Eventide Forest, ask her how she met Braxton, or ask her about gnomes. We should probably find out something about Braxton. I don't know anything about Braxton. What race
That's
is
an orc, I think. A female orc
Braxton?
is
Yeah, he's an orc.
just a part of our traveling
She's an orc.
caravan.
She's an orc. Yeah, I got mine.
Yeah, you're the only one who can decide this. We can decide together. You're the only one who can flip
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Ask about the forest, ask how she met the orc, or ask her about gnomes.
How long are we going to be in the forest?
A long time.
I'm between the forest or the orc. Braxton. Anybody input?
I don't know how long Braxton's going to be
Those
with
are both
us.
good choices.
I like the other one
Thoughts,
too.
Braxton?
I like the,
I'm thinking Braxton, he's thinking Braxton.
good, that's
Thinking
good.
Braxton. Let's
Okay,
ask about
we'll do Braxton.
Now we all flip them back.
They all flip back immediately?
Yeah.
Alright,
You wanna pass?
3686 Dale. 3686, right there.
Miriam starts laughing before she even begins her story about meeting Braxton. Well, first of all, whatever Braxton tells you, I wasn't drunk, says Miriam, but we both did get thrown out of the same tavern together. It was a good night. I remember it rather differently, says Braxton. Well, that's because you're no fun, Miriam winks at you. You see, Braxton is a wet blanket, but she keeps following me around because secretly she knows she would never do anything exciting if she didn't. Also, you pay me to keep you safe, says Braxton. Also that, exclaims Miriam with a broad smile. If 2 or more time has passed, 38:59. Eventide Forest is an intimidating landmark, and you can see why Braxton was concerned. Within an hour of entering the forest, the thin young trees give way to ancient gnarled guardians. The light, leafy canopy transforms into an oppressive shroud that cloaks the road in darkness, even during the most sunny of days. Time passes.
There we go.
In the darkness of Eventide Forest, a chilling stillness reigns, and even bird songs are drowned out by silence. You continue and onward, Miriam's usual banter blinded by her new mood, one part fascination and one part fear. Braxton keeps an ever-vigilant eye on the surroundings, her hand now resting on the pommel of the blade at her waist. You soon come to a stop when you catch up to Miriam. She's glancing down at what appears to be a small game trail that branches away from the main road. Up ahead, you see that a number of fallen trees are blocking your path. An old crossroads signpost marks the split, but the wood is too rotted and the writing is indecipherable. What do we do now? It doesn't seem like Lady Regina has been alerted yet. Braxton strains to look over the fallen trees. We could clear the road ourselves, or send word to Lady Regina once we reach Dragonholt. We could try this trail, offers Miriam. Maybe it connects to the main road on the other side. 3 options. Scout along the game trail and report back. Climb over the trees and continue to the main road. Clear the road of debris before continuing. We can just climb over. Does that sound dangerous?
I think the trail sounds like a really bad idea unless we want to get into some
Yeah, no trail.
Since it's a game trail, it might take us to like a river or something.
Yeah.
It's
Leave
gonna
the
get us
water.
it's gonna get us into a fight.
So we're trying to get to
The
Dragonholt.
only thing is, like,
There's bandits on the main road.
a lot of
too.
times ambushes happen with these tree
And
things.
side roads. Oh, yeah.
So, if you go off the road, you may throw the trap.
It's a trap.
Yeah, it's a trap.
It's a trap.
Okay, we've decided not to go on the side road. Do we want to climb over the trees or try to move them?
Climb over.
I don't know. I think it's our duty as a troop to clear them.
Alright, fair enough. Goody two shoes.
A number of fallen trees. It doesn't say that it looks particularly dangerous or high.
It's full of spiders. Big ones.
Well, never mind. Climb over. Wait. Go around.
The trail's a trap.
No spiders,
It's
please.
the most dangerous thing we've encountered probably so far.
I'll take on bandits. I don't like spiders. Never mind.
Clear the road or climb over are the 2 options we want.
Thoughts?
Well, actually,
There's 6 of us at least.
what I meant before is that what would be expected to happen in this situation is for you to choose those 2, which is what a ambush would be targeting.
You think
Stay
the
on the
trail
main
is the way
road.
to
Yeah,
go?
ambush would be.
The ambush would be responding to the natural thing that most people would do, which would be to try to deal with the trees and continue on.
Oh, so we're.
He's saying the bandits laid the trees over the road
Yes.
All right.
for an ambush, or we can just take that trail.
Did they lay those to encourage us to take the trail?
True that. True that, homie. True that.
Well,
I was thinking they would
Most
make us want
travelers
to
would
go
be
around.
expected to stay on the trail.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a lot of shit to climb over, then most travelers would probably go for the trail, not the.
And then they would get ambushed, right?
That's my thought. I don't know.
The trail is like not a good place to go with wagons, I assume.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's a game trail,
So-
yeah.
And we're just scouting. We're not bringing our.
We can scout the trail if you want.
Scout it,
It's
come
a
back.
trap.
If we scout it and there's bandits, that might be where they're hiding to wait. And wait.
Let's do it. Let's fuck them up.
So it's me, and there's not any skill set, so I guess we can decide who makes the decision. as a
If
group,
we
but I
don't
guess-
like the trail option, I like the not clearing.
And just try to get through it quickly.
Yeah.
Not funny.
Because clearing the thing seems like it would be the most trap-worthy.
Let's vote. Game trail or main road? Game trail.
Game trail.
Game trail. Fuck it. Let's go.
All right.
Yep.
Let's find some game.
Stop shooting me.
And so that's a choice has been made. So I guess we're moving around the table.
Good.
And my choice is exhausted.
Did you already go to the number?
Yes, it's the top.
Okay. You follow the trail away from the main road, ducking under low-hanging branches and hopping over muddy puddles. The trail winds back and forth, and soon you lose your bearings. As you scramble over a particularly steep slope, the soft earth gives way, and you tumble head over heels until you come to a stop at the base of the tree. Uh-oh. You do not have an agility skill, awareness skill, or survival skill.
We're good.
Dot.
We good. We have
So
all those.
it's checking me, or
We have agility and awareness.
do we all have to check it,
I think it's any of us, right?
It's
or one of us?
the decision is it give you a choice of options?
It's just a check. Like, so I have one. I have.
I don't think it's supposed
You
to be
have
the person
endurance.
reading.
I actually don't have
necessarily.
any of
It's just
those.
If one of us
Endurance?
has,
I have awareness. He has
I think
agility.
one of us has one of
You
these
have
things.
agility?
I've got survival.
I have awareness. So we're good.
Yeah, because I think this passing the book around thing is not like.
Do you want to do a quick check?
This is not.
To see. How,
It's just right
You
in the middle
having
of
the
the
book
block.
doesn't determine
It's right in the
it.
middle of the block of text.
I mean, is it stated in the rules that we're supposed to pass the book around and different people read from it? Then whoever has the book doesn't matter.
Yeah. As long as we have those
We're
abilities.
just making the choice based on who's.
but
Yeah, here we go. Your skills provide you with additional options when making decisions and improve your chances of success when attempting to perform a task related to your skills. Our skills can be disabled later. We can learn new ones.
Yeah.
And yeah, the person who's reading the book it's not really clear. The person who decides
Is the one who flips. But
is the one who flips.
this is not a check. This is just a check, not a decision. Should one of us have to flip our token?
this is a good question because if I was out front
Oh, here we
and I
go.
stumbled,
Yes, it probably counts. The active player is whichever player made the decision most recently. The word "you" in effect, text preceded by an arrow, refers to you, the active player,
so that would have been you actually.
who made a decision most recently.
Yeah.
So let's do what I was saying before.
Alright.
And
The
after
person-
someone makes a decision, hand them the book and they
Yeah.
read it until
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
So this is me.
Do you want to just continue and just start following?
You have agility, right? You're good.
If you do not have agility, and I do. I would have lost 3 stamina, but I didn't.
Hey.
You crawl back to your feet and continue on, resolving to be more careful. After some time, you rejoin the main road, well past the deadfall of block. You turn back and, being certain to mark the route this time, rejoin the others. Time passes. Mark story K3. You and your traveling companions make your way along the game trail and continue your journey along the main road.
So far so good.
So, and it just keeps on. After following the winding road for what feels like hours, you begin to fear that you're traveling in circles. Just as you're about to suggest turning back, Miriam calls out from beyond the next bend. There's a clearing up here. As you round the bend, you see Miriam staring up at a single massive tree that stands alone in the center of a clearing some 20 paces across. Although the great oak's canopy is just as thick as everywhere else in the forest, its branches reach well above the tops of the surrounding trees, affording you a view of the sky at the edges of the clearing. If 3 or more time has passed,
They're not shelled?
No.
Or they are shelled, rather.
They are shelled, yeah.
When you say they aren't shells, they're not planted, or they don't grow with shells.
looking up at the great
Shellless
oak,
pistachios.
you feel somehow captivated. You come to your senses when Braxton nudges your shoulder. Are you alright? You've been staring at that tree for hours.
Hours.
3 time passes.
What?
3 times.
We just got hypnotized by a fucking tree, y'all.
Oh wow.
That's
A
crazy.
tree.
The clearing, like what's going on? 35, 49.
Trees. It's just like that happening.
Yeah.
It's already. Well, this is going to be a
What's
decision.
that?
So,
Good.
Yeah, try it. Give me an Aztec.
Well, read
Or,
it.
actually,
and
give me a
then
droid.
we'll decide
I'll try
who's
that.
deciding. Yeah.
J-hole. You want a J-hole? Yeah, give me a J-hole.
it's already night. No wonder I feel so tired. Miriam mutters with a large yawn.
Fine.
Sure enough, when you look up, you see stars sparkling brightly in the vast emptiness of the night sky. You note how brilliant they seem so far from the torchlight of the city. At the edges of the clearing, several paths cut through the dense trees, leading away from the great oak in different directions. Only a few seem well traveled, but none are marked by signs. Braxton, too, has noticed the myriad options for further travel. We should get our bearings before making camp for the night.
Do that.
Miriam rolls her eyes at Braxton's suggestion. We can use the sun as our guide in the morning. I'm going to sleep. With that, she takes on a bedroll and makes camp at the base of the great oak. Our options are determine your heading by observing the stars, requires arcana, devotion, or survival.
Got survival. I have.
So I have two of those things. Having two doesn't really.
Whoever makes the decision is going to become the active player. Convince Miriam to read the stars before she sleeps, requires empathy or persuasion.
I have
I can do that.
Climb the great oak to look for a landmark, agility or athletics.
Stuff like you.
Leave the navigation of Braxton and turn in for the night.
Not the last one.
So I can't decide, so we have to decide who's going to
I
decide.
basically.
Arcana, devotion, survival, empathy, persuasion, agility, athletics.
I've
Climb
got
it.
athletics. I've got survival. I have athletics as well.
The
First
first
is
two
how we
seem
want to
similar.
do. Convince her to read the stars, determine our heading by observing the stars, climb the oak, or just go to sleep.
I think number two is the best.
Convince her to read the stars,
No, the one where we do it ourselves.
Oh, okay.
determine your heading.
Go to arcane.
That'd be
That way
Arcana.
we're depending on ourselves.
Arcana, devotion, or survival. You have arcana.
I have two of them.
And devotion. Flip it.
Okay,
Oh, sorry.
so it is
I'm gonna keep our brawlers.
Ready for the fight?
2172.
Break it.
You gaze up at the stars, walking a slow circle around the great tree in the clearing center to get a better view. You take your bearings from the constellations and find Lateriana's star. You are now confident you know which way to go to reach Dragonholt.
Alright.
Mark story L1. As you make your way back to the campfire, you feel something small strike the top of your head. It's a small wooden statuette. You look up at the branches of the great oak and notice a number of small pages and other trinkets tied to the branches or resting on feelers. You gain the wooden trinket.
Alright.
B. So that's me, right?
Yeah. You add it to your items list.
No, there's a card for each item.
Oh. Why do we have an items list then?
Should I read the... When we get to these sections, should I read them out loud?
No, we're not those already.
Okay.
Is it B?
B, yes. The letter B, yep.
Alright.
You return to the campfire and show the trinket to your companions. What do you make of it? Asks Braxton. I'm not sure, says Miriam. I think this was carved by a human or an orc. Too rough to be made by an elf. Probably just some harmless local custom. Miriam tosses the trinket back at you. Now we go to 8549.
That's way too coarse to be elf handiwork.
D-N-U.
It says 3 letters on it.
Hardest carved into the wood containing the letters T or U. So there's this, and we haven't run across anybody who has the word or the letter T or U in their name.
Maybe you need to jot it down too, so we
Very
remember.
good.
It's that it's your characters.
I'll do wooden trinket, watch them call it.
Okay. You assist Braxton in gathering some kindling and start a small campfire a few paces from the great oak. While you work, you can hear Miriam humming softly to herself. You set out your bedroll and relax. Although you are tired, a brief chat around the campfire is not an unwelcome event. Decision. Ask Miriam what she plans to do in Dragonholt. Ask Braxton what she plans to do in Dragonholt, or go straight to sleep.
We asked Miriam already, right?
What was it required?
Asking Miriam requires N3 to be marked.
N or M?
N3.
It is unmarked, so we can do it.
And asking Braxton what she plans to do in Dragonholt requires E7.
Also, oh, that one is marked.
So that's an option.
Let's do that.
Doing that does not exhaust your activation token.
Let's do that. Yeah, we can do that.
Do that?
Yeah.
So I just continue. I think.
Yes, sir,
In this situation, I never have to mark the.
Hold on, let me answer this real quick.
Go ahead.
Hey, I'm in the middle of playing board games. So,
Hello?
Here you go.
We're just doing a pause.
Recess.
There's some crunchies left.
Good.
Get you some crunchies, y'all. Crunchies.
I think we're coming up on a real decision point, so
3 whole time minutes? That's huge, because there's only 8 in the whole game. This whole part of the game. 3 time points.
I wonder if there was a way to avoid that. Maybe what led us to that? Like, do you think going off on the trail led us to that?
It might be a central hub, because they want you to get that trinket, because it said trinket several times in those instructional texts.
Wow, that's true.
I think that no matter what happened, you're going to probably wind up in that open road getting that trinket. It's definitely a story thing.
What's up?
Oh, Dad said he could a thing over. So
Yeah.
she's trying to tell me what she wants on it.
So we are asking Braxton what she plans to do in Dragonholt.
Yes.
Braxton smiles gently, nodding her head in Mariam's direction. I will continue to protect our friend Mariam for as long as she requires my services. As you may have noticed, looking after her does not leave me much time for anything else. I resemble that remark. Calls Mariam. After that, I'm not certain. I was not certain what to do with myself before meeting Mariam either. I suppose I will travel to a larger city and try to find employment. So we have some options. Ask Braxton about her past adventures. Ask Braxton how she met Mariam. Tell Braxton about your past adventures requires deception or performance.
Nobody has any of that.
You don't have.
No, I'm exhausted.
Ask Braxton which lord she served requires empathy or history. Ask Braxton about her military training requires history or military.
Military.
Show Braxton how to foil sleight of hand requires awareness or thievery. And all of these are going to exhaust the
Jared can be the one with
Military or awareness.
military.
I think military is more interesting.
We need to get to the slave.
The first two don't require training.
But
We want to go with those. I feel like using our skills would probably be helpful.
Yeah.
Good.
Awareness or military, so you ask
So
about her military training
Or teach her a skill.
Or you teach her how to foil sleight of hand, yeah.
Would it be more handy to teach her something, or maybe it'll mark a story point and she could do something for us later
Later
by
on.
having that skill?
That's what I was thinking too. Honestly, that's what I was thinking. So, anybody else?
Sounds good.
Alright, we'll teach her sleight of
Unless she
hand.
uses it against us, and she's a pawn for the.
Yeah, it's possible that we may have to
So,
use sleight of hand and she'll catch.
Maybe.
I feel like she's on our side.
Mhm.
pass it up. There it is. Braxton chuckles and waves one hand dismissively. I'm certain that I'm capable of. She notices what you are holding, and her hand drops to her belt, where her purse had been until just recently. How did you get my purse? Give that back, she says, and then you show me how to do that. You return her purse and then spend a few minutes walking her through the basics of misdirection and thievery. Her brow furrows and she focuses intently on the lesson. Mark story point 02 or 02. That would be 02.
She knows.
That's 02 and W3.
Alright.
If 2 or more time has passed,
Yes.
read 4.
She really did.
You're going to the first one, right?
Yeah. 4389. You change the subject. electing to ask Braxton what she knows about Dragonholt. I've never been to Dragonholt myself, says Braxton.
Yeah.
Lord Kaler's land
Yeah.
were west of the here, so she was Lord Kaler's
Yeah.
thingy, bard, not bard, but hand. Ward. So I never had occasion to visit. I did hear that the village has a fine inn. You heard that from me, calls Miriam. Miriam's aunt runs the place, says Braxton with a smile. Apart from that, I think the place is rather unremarkable. A small collection of houses surrounded by farms and orchards. She frowns and drums her fingers on the hilt of her sword, looking all around.
Well, you're gonna.
Well, there was that one story about a brave hero who could freeze a dragon's flames in its throat. But I think that was just a story. Braxton lapses into a comfortable silence for some time. We have options: ask Braxton about her family, ask Braxton about orcs, lead Braxton to her thoughts. None of them require anything. You want to continue talking to Braxton? I think we're done with Braxton by now.
We can leave it at 5 for whatever. What are the other options?
Ask her about her family or orcs.
So we learn about
Family
or
or
community
orcs.
or her particular life. It's probably going to trigger some story point if we know more about them, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe
Or if we
Jeremy
know
wants to
more about
orcs.
Like if we learn about orcs, we might encounter orcs later in the game where it's like, if you know this tidbit of info about how to dispatch them or how to do political maneuverings when you're in conversation with them or something.
Yeah.
Because it was asking if we learn about gnomes and it's asking if we learn about orcs.
Yeah, really, I feel like this game basically says, hey, you should learn about everything real quick. So you'll have some knowledge. That's what it feels like, is to ask us twice to learn about things.
Yeah, it's the intro adventure.
So we go personal or general information then?
If we're voting, I go for
It's
general.
okay, I'm not playing games or anything. It's no problem. You're fine.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, sure.
Alright.
But I think you're the only
That's
one
for
that
my
has a...
Yeah, so that flips.
That's a non-decision.
Yeah. Well, no, it does say flip. It does say.
does?
It doesn't say it doesn't flip, so
Yeah.
it does flip.
Yeah.
So you have to actually pick.
You would
Oh.
pick and you would be
Then
the active player.
Yeah, then everything flips back over.
It's-
yeah.
Where we at?
Yeah,
It
it's
says-
a marker.
Not to flip.
Oh.
You don't flip.
Alright, so we're asking about orcs. We're on a 1521. That flips me, flips everybody back.
Only pass the book
Yeah, we'll see.
when it's a flip.
Yeah.
Just to make it easy.
Yeah.
1521. Have you not met many? She asks. Well, they're not all like me. My people celebrate independence and strength. I hear that orc clans rule in the Broken Plains, but here in Terranoth, we mostly live in small bands traveling from barony to barony. The humans don't like it when large numbers of orcs settle anywhere for long, so we have to keep moving. Braxton looks down to where her hand is wrapped around her sword hilt. The humans are happy to pay us to fight for them, though. You can find my people serving as mercenaries, even gladiators, all throughout Terranoth. She takes her hand from her sword. If 2 or more time has passed, read entry 1096, which it has, yes. 1096. Miriam lets out a long yawn.
Yarn.
You second the motion. As you nestle into your bedroll for the night, Braxton speaks up. Best we don't all sleep at once. I'll take the first watch. Can I count on you to take the second? You nod your agreement, and drift off to sleep. One of you must volunteer to keep watch. Refresh your activation token if you are keeping watch. The rest of you exhaust your activation token.
Oh.
And then 2 time passes and you each recover 2 stamina.
Dang. So we're all at maximum stamina.
Yeah.
We only have one more time thing left.
What?
And a brawler should stay
Oh,
up.
that's good.
Yeah, I was thinking the same
Well,
thing.
shouldn't it be someone who has awareness?
I'll take watch.
Do you have awareness?
If we have an aware brawler, that would probably be
Shit,
the
that's
best
true.
choice.
I would
I'm
Sure,
aware.
he's got it. He's got awareness.
I'm not a brawler, but I have awareness and I have military and dueling. So.
Alright.
I feel like awareness might be more.
Good plan.
Alright. Keep awareness so everybody
We're all
else flips. We're all
Because a
asleep.
person can always call out.
Flip your coin.
2 time passes, and we each recover 2 stamina.
Okay, done.
For the last
And that's the
person.
end of the game. Okay. Now that you're keeping watch, do you want to...
I don't know. We've been basing on the last person who flipped, so.
So
No,
active player at this point would be, there's not been a decision made because that's not coming to the decision marker.
Just read it, Travis.
Alright. You rouse from your slumber to the general coaxing from Braxton.
Wait a second. I do think we should pass the book to the active player because we're all asleep. So whoever this is going to have to be
Which one,
tested.
Marine? Which one? 1096?
Yeah.
Oh, right after the.
296?
Um,
No, not 296.
Let me see.
299.
After this,
Let me see it.
he's ready to talk.
I don't remember which number it was.
Okay.
Let me see it.
Sorry, you want me to read the
Yeah,
rest
we're
of that?
on 1096 right after recovering
Okay.
stamina. That's
I
what
got
we
you. Okay. You rouse from your slumber to a gentle coaxing from Braxton. Your turn at watch, she says quietly. You rub your eyes for a moment and sit up, taking a drink from your cantina to wake yourself. You glance around camp at your fellow travelers. Braxton prepares her bedroll, lies down, and is quickly asleep. Miriam stirs for a moment, possibly awakened by the brief commotion, and rolls to her other side. Why is that even... Okay. A gentle silence takes hold of the clearing. Your journey to Dragonholt has been a long one, but now you are no more than a half day's travel from your destination. The crack of burning branches from the campfire keeps you company as you keep watch. The moon is beginning to set, and you know the light of the new dawn will soon grace the forest clearing where you have made camp. Just then, you hear rustling in the thicket on one side of the camp and recall Braxton's warnings about bandits. We're not just now seeing bandits. Okay. Watch for further movement or signs of danger. Arm yourself and take a closer look. This option does not exhaust your activation token. Wake your fellow travelers. So it's one of those.
Should we be like, since we're asleep, we can't help, or we shouldn't talk, or do you think it should be more loose than that?
It says we all as a group decide, but
I mean,
if we're supposed to be asleep.
I can wake you up, or I can watch for further movement or signs of danger. Or I can arm myself. But what am I going to arm myself with?
Your stuff.
I mean, keeping with the role-playing part of it, if we're asleep, Jared probably has to decide.
I think so, yeah. I think you're on your own.
We're not going to sit here and talk about it.
Alright, well, I'm gonna arm myself, so I'm gonna go to 1654.
That's the one that doesn't use your token.
Yeah, it doesn't use no token. You grab your weapon and slip out of the camp, circling around toward where you heard the sound. As your eyes adjust to the darkness, you move silently from tree to tree and soon find yourself behind a small group of rough-looking people, lurking in the bushes and watching your camp. Bandits! Literally says bandits. Mark X1. There are 3 bandits directly in front of you. 2 men and a woman in torn and stained clothing and scraps of leather armor. The woman holds a strung bow across her knee as she crouches, while one of the men has a spear and the other a long knife in his hand. Wasn't someone on watch by the fire? Asked one of the men. I don't see anyone there now, says the woman. Quiet, says the other man. Wait for the signal. They clearly haven't noticed you. Just as clearly, they're intending to attack your traveling companions. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I can either shout a warning to you guys, draw my weapon and engage the bandits, sneak up on the bandits and ambush them, which takes stealth.
Does the first one require performance?
No. Should I engage or should I shout? It sounds like there's other people if there's signs.
Probably so.
If there's a signal coming, there's probably going to be like a bunch of other people.
Yeah, we're still sleeping. So.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna shout and warn you guys. 9943.
Does that waste your token?
Yeah, it does.
It's a loud shout.
9943.
And that means we would all flip, so we're all pretty much waking up.
Yep.
Which is kind of
Everybody wake up.
in keeping with the theme. So
Shit.
It does say that?
it used this token.
Yeah, I mean, it uses my
Oh,
token.
right.
It was an option with the bars of red, with the 3 bars. Okay.
Yeah, we're good. 9943. You shout a warning and rush back into the camp, hearing the bandits swear and move to follow you. We're supposed to be waiting for the signal, hisses one. That was the signal, shouts the other. As you skid to the top of the camp, as you skid to a stop by the campfire, you see Braxton already on her feet, with her shield in hand. Miriam is still staggering out of her tangling blanket. What is it? Grumbles Miriam. What's going on? Bandits! Rumbles Braxton as a half dozen of the desperate-looking figures run into the firelight. Weapons held high. For 300.
Half a dozen?
Half a dozen, that's what he said. 400.
Yeah, like nobody's causing trouble, so whatever.
Braxton hefts a heavy steel shield and slashes her long sword threateningly at one of the approaching bandits. Miriam produces 2 flasks and unstoppers one of them. A thick, acrid smoke pours from its open mouth as she holds it aloft, ready to throw. 3 of the bandits suddenly rush forward, charging the camp. Miriam hurls a smoking flask, which smashes against one of their buccaneers. A billowing cloud of acrid? Acidic. That's acidic. Acidic fog erupts from the impact site. The bandit shrieks and flails, dropping his buckler to the ground as it dissolves. The 2 other bandits continue their charge. One swings an axe at Miriam. Braxton catches the blade with her long sword and slams her shield into the man, sending him tumbling to the ground. The 3rd bandit dodges around Braxton and darts forward towards you. Spear point trained at your chest. Okay, we got dodge the attack. We got catch the spear and disarm the bandit. Deflect the spear and counterattack, which requires dueling, which I have, military, which I have.
You're
It's not
exhausted.
you.
Yeah, you're
It's not
exhausted.
you.
Yeah,
Am
you
I
should be
exhausted?
I also have dueling though.
No, everybody should be awake now.
You're still shouting.
No.
You need
If
to
everybody
shout.
was, if everybody was over and I flipped, then we should have all refreshed.
Okay.
Him making that choice brought us all
We
back.
should have all been refreshed,
Okay.
so we're good.
Okay.
So anybody can choose this time.
Blast the bandit with a rune, which requires arcane runes.
But I think
I'm still
It
awake.
seems
I'm
like,
running towards you
okay.
guys,
I think
screaming.
maybe he should still be the active player. Then.
But this being a decision, whoever makes the decision
Yeah, we
becomes the
can,
active player.
we can make this decision as a group.
But
Well, I
in
mean,
doing
I
that,
can-
we decide who's being charged, which may be.
Yeah,
Or
I-
deciding who's taking action. Which might be cool, right?
we're all good.
I can use dueling or militia
It's
or
a
military.
it's a new red bar
Yeah, we're
thing,
good.
right?
We're good.
So one of us can choose to use a skill here.
I use.
I
That's how
sort of
we've been
feel like
playing these.
I sort of feel like it would be someone besides you because it seems like they would have ran past.
Well, I mean, I have dueling, I can do it, but I think whenever it's those bar type decisions like that,
it goes to whoever.
that means any of us can choose to be the one to take that action, especially if it's like a skill.
But I think
Related
if we
action.
can relate it to like a story thing to make it make sense.
Yeah,
Like, I
well,
sort
the
of
only
sort of
I'm in
time
the can.
the only time we said the person reading this has to be is the active player and has to like do this thing is when it wasn't that type of decision where it was just a thing that came up in text.
This being a decision point where we're making a choice, the active player is going to change, and according to the rules, all of us have the option to choose as a group who makes that choice and becomes active.
I think the
You're
active
probably-
person
you're
would
ready.
be the person who
You're
gets out
ready.
the
I can use
fastest
my
from
dueling.
sleep.
Use it. You've been waiting for this for the entire time.
I've been waiting for this my
That
whole
makes
life.
sense because he's aware too. You have awareness.
No, I don't have awareness. I thought about taking it, but I wanted
He
to.
has dueling.
All right.
I've got a urinate.
So I'm deflecting the sphere and counterattacking.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Tell them.
Oh, looks like I was supposed to be writing down entries read every single time I read an entry.
But I'm sure that the numbers,
Yeah.
like, I think this is what you base future events on,
Oh,
not
yes.
this.
This might be for
Replays.
replay.
We do have a recording.
That's
Well-
right. Go through and listen to write all that. It's a lot of text. When we make it to the major city, like all the other quest books are about that size, but when we get to the city, it's like this giant book.
Oh yeah.
So this is probably
Sure.
the meat of the game, and the other ones are probably like side quests. But then there's even a map of the city, and we would be actively like looking at the map and saying, we want to go to this district or that district, and then marking it on the map and then do another step
Yes.
away from it.
Alright, so I deflect the
Sounds,
sphere and counterattack.
Yep.
Yeah.
With the instincts born of long training, you brace yourself, ready to parry the incoming thrust and counterattack. As long as you don't slip up, you can drop the bandit in a single attack.
Carry that thrust, Simpson.
Now this says, and this isn't a choice, and I'm already exhausted because I made that last choice. It says if you have agility or athletics, read this entry, otherwise read that entry. So what happens? Because I've already...
Yeah, but no, you don't.
I think
Yeah,
we
I
go
was
with
the
it.
one that took this action.
I'm pretty sure that we go with what makes sense with the story. I think it's still you.
I think it's
It's
you.
me.
I think it's
It's me.
athletics.
Okay.
Yeah, active
And I
player
do
whoever
have
made the
athletics.
decision most recently.
Okay, and I do have athletics, so I read 9608. Which is right here.
Although maybe what it's supposed to be is all three of you are defending it. But I think for this situation, it's just him.
This is still my one encounter
This-
with one dude.
This wasn't
Like-
this wasn't a decision point. It
There
like-
was a decision point that was deciding to try to
Attack.
deflect his
And
spear
that's
and
when
counterattack,
That's
and I
when you
flipped
became
that.
active.
And now it's asking me if I have this skill,
Okay.
which leads me to this,
Okay.
9608. You swing your weapon to deflect the sphere, knocking the lethal point aside and following up with a riposte.
Repose.
Your attack catches the bandit off guard and leaves him bleeding on the grass. You step back, taking a moment to assess the situation. If story point H3 is marked,
No.
it's not. Otherwise, read entry 9513 right here. For Collar and Harmon, bellows Braxton, whoever those fucks are. In the flickering firelight, she seems a demon from a nightmare, huge and dark and powerful. Three of the bandits attempt to surround her, but she pivots away, slamming her shield into one and knocking her down, then slashing at a second and sending him screaming into the dark, clutching at his face. She trades blows with a large human, his axe sliding off her shield, her sword flickering past his face as he dances backward. You notice a bandit with his hair in a long braid creeping up behind Braxton with a knife glimmering in his hand. Focus as Braxton is on her battle with large bandit. She clearly hasn't noticed. We have three choices.
Grab it.
Intercept the approaching bandit, catch the bandit from behind, or stop the bandit with an alchemical concoction which requires alchemy.
I've got it, and so does Jeremy.
Do you want to try that?
Which one of us?
I think we can go to someone else now.
Yeah, this is a new choice. This is
Who wants to use their alchemy?
Okay, yeah.
Or I can
intercept,
I
catch
can
from
intercept.
behind, or stop it with alchemical.
Do we have to? We don't have to
Yeah,
already
so
have
we can all
it.
do
We
that
just
then. Like,
pick our luck.
say
As long as
our
our list
story
go.
rather than-
And since
All it does is requires alchemy skill.
I don't think thievery is going to really come into this
Right now.
melee exchange,
Not
so
now.
keeping our other magician active is
Oh
probably
yeah, that
good.
sounds so cool.
Good.
Okay.
Right here.
Yeah, we already used one brawler.
So
so
now
go to
I'm exhausted, and I'm going to go
5037.
That
right?
makes it fine. Yeah.
You pull out an oiled leather bladder and hurl it as hard as you can against the bandit's feet. The bladder bursts, sending a black tar-like substance all over the grass and the bandit's legs. What is this stuff? The bandit says, trying to brush the oobleck from his thigh with one hand. I'm stuck, he says, trying to retrieve his hand. With a wail, the bandit soon finds that his feet are rooted to place. And his attempts to move only send him toppling over to get even more stuck. You'd like to watch his travails and take notes, but sadly there is no time. Your companions are still locked in combat with the bandits who swarm around the edges of the light provided by your campfire. Screaming incoherently, a scarred bandit rushes at you. In one hand, he brandishes a studded iron mace. The other arm ends in a steel hook, its metal glinting in the firelight. Options: rush forward to engage the bandit. Brace yourself to receive the charge with military. Oh, you're done?
No, he's
Okay.
okay.
Flee and attack at range. Needs Arcana, or Archery, or Thievery. It doesn't exhaust the token. That's kind of nice. Or protect yourself with an alchemical mixture with alchemy. So 2 options for Kafka and 1 option for Hexen.
I think I'll try range.
You don't have to. You don't have
This
to.
guy
exhaust
seems-
It
it.
doesn't
seems to be
exhaust
like
you. It
sturdy.
doesn't exhaust you.
It's no problem.
So that's
Have to go.
Good. She gave me what she wanted
Okay.
on the memorial. And she sang a bunch of songs at karaoke last night.
That's good.
She had a good time.
Okay.
She's good.
Okay. You maneuver through the melee, dodging around Braxton and another orc woman. Then you break away from the fray, sprinting towards the Great Oak, hoping to put enough range between yourself and the bandit so that you can attack from a relative safety. If you have agility or athletics, sadly I do not. So I go to 63-32.
You have athletics.
Probably we should have thought about it.
Yeah, but it's on him.
It's on him.
Sorry.
Get ungoofed.
The bandit gives chase and keeps close behind you no matter how hard you run. You duck behind the campfire, then sprint for the Great Oak, then circle back around the entire clearing. The bandit stays only a step behind the whole way. Your legs burn, your breath rattles in your chest, but still the bandit keeps pace behind you. You lose 1 stamina. You exhaust your activation token. So I'm going to mark this as a tick. Finally, on another loop around the Great Oak, your foot catches in an unseen tree root and you go sprawling. The bandit looms above you, his hook gleaming, and then suddenly flames erupt all across his back. Screaming, the bandit falls over, rolling around and tearing at his leather jerkin with his good hand in an attempt to put out the flames. Mariam calls out to you, "Quit playing around. These guys mean business, and they don't mean the kind we profit from." So we go to 23.99.
Sorry, man. We should have seen you drive through that hole, not exhausting your thing.
Yeah.
I mean, how could we have known? So we still have 1 strong warrior active.
You find yourself standing in a loose circle with your companions and no bandits close at hand. Even more of the enemy emerge from the trees, however, and they begin to surround you. "What now?" breathes Miriam. You're sure it's the first time you've heard fear in her voice. The bandit's leader chuckles and speaks, causing the firelight to play off the long scar on the side of his face in a sinister way. "Drop your valuables and leave. There's no need for you to die here." The other bandits hoot and howl and brandish their blades and axes in the air in front of you. Braxton glances sideways at you. "There are too many of them. We cannot win this fight." She edges backwards, and you notice her lean in the direction of Dragonholt. "You can't have my gold. I'll be using it to start my business," hisses Miriam. Despite the bite in her words, you notice her hands trembling. Option 1. Fend off the bandits long enough for the others to escape. Requires brawling, dueling, and military. Create a diversion and flee towards Dragonholt. Requires deception or performance. Create a smoke screen and escape towards Dragonholt. Requires alchemy. Or turn tail and run. Does not require anything.
We're gonna do the. Jared can do the military.
Yeah, I can fend them off for a little while. What was that?
Sorry. Which one are you choosing?
Dueling, yeah.
Okay.
6. Okay, I found it finally.
I think we flip them, yeah. We're about all back.
Yeah, I think we're all back, yeah. Tell your companions to run for it and spring forward, bringing the battle to the bandits. The ferocity of your attacks catches the bandits off guard, and at first they fall back. You press the advantage, taking down a burly human woman with a pair of jagged knives and disarming a gnome man who attempts to dart in and slash your hamstrings.
Not my hamstring.
Not my hamstring! The bandits soon regroup. However, their numbers begin to tell. You are swiftly pressed back, and it becomes clear to you will be overwhelmed. Since your companions have already escaped, you turn and run for it as well. 3, 6, 4, 5. You run through Eventide Forest, scrambling and stumbling as you go. You are surprised to discover that you can see, and you realize that the sun must already be rising somewhere beyond the trees. Time passes. Time passes.
That's the last one, right?
The narrow and twisting path.
Wait, hold on. What happens when we run out of time?
Hang on. There's nothing. Nothing changes.
So all over time, it doesn't accumulate anymore.
If it says, I guess we'll see if it says it again.
The errata doesn't say anything about filling up the time slots.
We may have to check it though if we're supposed to mark another time because there's no box left.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Hopefully we won't have to check another time.
The narrow and twisting path soon comes to a steep climb with a rocky outcropping that rises above on either side. A large standing stone towers to your right. You can hear the bandits still coming from behind you, shouting to their fellows like hounds on the hunt. But any pursuer will have to scramble up the same narrow gulch. We have options to tip over the standing stone to block the path, fire your bow from the high ground, which requires archery.
I've got it.
Set a trap for the approaching bandits, which requires survival skill. So you have survival, you have archery. It's up to you.
Well,
do you just want to do the path? We still have to exhaust one, so you might as well do like one of the other two.
One of us is going to shoot from on high to try to stave them off, or
archery or
set
a trap with survival.
I don't know. Both of them sound good.
At this point,
the bandits didn't seem very aware of the person who was on watch, so it seems like they'd be more vulnerable to that.
Like running into a trap.
Yeah. Oh well, I think we should keep our thievery skill. That might come in handy soon.
I can use survival as a trap.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
Alright, let's do it.
Top one on the left page. Left page.
Right page. So right for approaching bandits. Requires survival. Read entry 3575. You quickly make a set of snares that you tether to young trees at the top of the gulch. Then you cover them with a handful of leaves and gravel. You urge your companions on and fall back as the bandits grow closer, hooting and baying as they come. Their shouts turn to cries of alarm as you hear the first of your snares yank a bandit off his feet. Read entry 5129. 5129. With the bandits preoccupied by your efforts back at the gulch, you are able to gain a considerable lead on them. The rocky terrain continues to rise up around you, the trees of Eventide Forest becoming smaller and scrappier as you go. Soon you come to a sheer cliff face, only a few scraggly trees clinging to the rocks rising above you. Sunlight spills across the sky above the cliff, a promise of freedom and safety. You climb up to the top, but it would be you could climb up to the top, but it would be a challenge. The path continues to the left a fair distance, then becomes a tight switchback crawling up to the top of the rise. It would be a safer route to the top, but slower than climbing directly. We either climb the cliff face or run for the switchback path. No skill requirements, but it is a choice that someone will have to make, not myself.
They're still giving chase?
Yeah.
Well, they're preoccupied at the moment. We can either climb the cliff or we can go take the switchback path, which will be slow but less dangerous.
I mean, they're going to gain on us.
I think if we have someone with a relative skill, then we can have them do the climbing.
I've got
Maybe
have
athletics.
agility.
Dale's going to be good.
I have
Agility.
athletics too, so.
Athletics is, well, I forgot where he said it, but It might be like your ability. Well, no. I think it explicitly said that was your ability in climbing and swimming and stuff like that.
Athletics.
Yeah, let me
Did
check
anybody
real
take
quick.
that?
I have it.
So we might want you to.
Strong runner, climber, and swimmer.
Yep, there
maybe
you go.
go ahead. Maybe we should climb, and I'll take it. Sounds good.
Climbing dwarf.
Climbing dwarf!
Great idea.
Orion. Shit.
Why are you guys talking about me like I'm on the
Okay,
room?
4-0.
I think you earned your subtitle.
Yeah.
Next to the climbing door.
You scramble up the cliff face,
Yes.
relying on the trees that cling to the cracks in the rocks for handholds. This proves unwise.
If you're a dwarf, you fail immediately.
As not all of the
Stumpy arms.
trees are anchored securely
Where
enough to
dwarves
bear your
are,
weight.
yes,
Because I'm a dwarf. And you find yourself
Trying to climb a cliff.
dangling from your fingertips above a steep drop. You each lose 2 stamina.
Each?
Unless you have athletics. So I have
I
athletics.
have athletics.
Oh.
But even if you got
Hold
you're
on,
fine.
hold on. Does that mean
If you
nobody
got-
loses it? Because I have it.
I think
I
you're
have
fine.
it.
I think
Fine.
we're all tested.
By the
It sounds like
rules-
we're all tested.
It sounds like we're all.
Yeah.
It says you each. That's every.
Yeah,
Oh, it
that's
said in one of the errata. Each means all these.
Okay.
So each loses 2 stamina.
So I don't lose
It's-
stamina.
Well, I have athletics, so I should
Well,
be
the
fine.
athletic ones, you guys are good.
We're fine.
But that's wizards and thieves.
Sorry.
You gypsies,
So,
transylvanians.
as a dwarf, if you fall from this steep drop, is it like 5 feet, 6 feet?
Shush.
You're like, oh, yeah!
It's true.
He's got
Weird
good.
isn't making things any
Wait,
easier
is
either.
it even a climb for us? Can we just step up?
Yeah. Be like, okay, somebody pick them up, please?
Okay, we're done. Miriam isn't making things any easier either. Despite Braxton's efforts. I'll be fine, she huffs. I'm not the only one here who needs help, she says with a nod at you. In fairness to the gnome, she's not dangling from her fingertips. Braxton makes her way over to you and helps you regain your footing. Test each toe hold before you put weight onto it, she says. You resume your climb, but you hear shouting below you. As the bandits have reached the bottom of the cliff, they immediately begin pelting you with arrows and stones, making the rest of one nightmare. You each lose 3 stamina unless you have agility.
Got it.
I don't have it.
I don't have it, so I lose 3.
Now, what happens if I run out?
Damn.
I think one of your skills becomes disabled. We'd have to double check.
Alright.
3?
Yeah,
She's
3.
not dangling from a cliff, so she's just standing next to him.
Finally, you make it to the top, gasping for breath. You are safe from the bandits' arrows up here, but the bandits have already begun to climb up after you. Okay, so choices are: throw rocks at the bandits, return fire with your bow, which requires archery, smash a vial of alchemic fire on the cliff face, which requires alchemy, blast the cliff face with the runic magic, which requires arcana or runes.
I like the last one.
I feel like Arcana and Runes pop up a lot. We should just like one of them.
This seems like a good place for this because it seems like blasting the whole thing would have a bigger impact.
Either that or fire. You can choose either one.
Well, this is the time for our wizard to shine.
It may be unclimbable
You have all 3
after
of them.
damaging it.
Yeah.
Wizard time, y'all.
It's asking for it. Yeah.
Alright, that's up to you, man. What do you want?
I've got.
I'll do it.
Yeah,
Last one.
how can you but forget stupid wizard?
So we are blasting the cliff face with runic magic. 3967. You produce a blasting rune from the interior pocket and calmly bend the energy within to your will. You extend a phantom limb towards the rocks below and, with clenched fist, impact the cliff face. Stones and earth shatter and fly, showering the climbing bandits with rocky shrapnel.
Oh yeah.
A great cloud of dirt and dust covers the path below, causing the bandits to cough and sputter. Soon the bandits are running from the cloud, retreating into the forest. You have escaped.
Okay.
Tight.
Oh, this is gonna be
As the sun climbs above the trees, you continue your journey towards Dragonholt.
Easy.
At your new elevation, the trees are smaller and farther apart, and at some point you have passed an invisible barrier where you're not in a forest so much as a rocky plain with occasional trees. Dragonholt lies below you, and you can see the beacon tower rising above the trees, the sun climbing the sky behind it. You have less than an hour of walking before you. Time passes. So in this situation, I think time passes is just a check.
To see how much is gone, determining what you can do.
Yeah, so I think maybe you should mark another one, but
I think
I think we're finishing the adventure.
I think it's to prevent things from happening early, more than like running out.
I was listening to the other playthroughs, and it's like if you go to see certain shopkeepers in the city, and a certain amount of time hasn't passed, and it's like they're not there at the shop yet and stuff like that. So it said one more.
One time.
Okay.
At length you walk through an orchard, the twisting trees heavy with fruit and propped up by weathered boards and poles. Then you find yourself on Dragonholt's main street, walking beneath the dueling dragon statues that serve as the closest thing to a city gate. One dragon is carved from black stone, the other from white, and they arch across the street above you, not quite touching. Marvelous, breathes Braxton. Some sort of memorial of the Dragon War, says Mario. This way, she says, and skips down the cobbled street as if she hadn't been woken up in the middle of the night by bandits. You cross a crowded village green that is laid out before a garden shrine with a domed glass ceiling. In front of the shrine stands a marbled spire, atop which burns a beacon fire. Then you pass a building dark with soot and marred by broken windows. Marion pauses at an intersection and peers towards two side streets before nodding vigorously, leading the way south. We'll get a proper breakfast as soon as we find my aunt's inn, she says. It's called the Swan. Does it have a lovely white swan painted on its sign? Asks Braxton. Yes, it does, says Miriam. Then is that it? Just there, she points, and Mariam beams. That's it, let's go. She rushes off in a fresh burst of energy, leaving you stumbling along behind. When you finally reach the Swan, you find Mariam babbling excitedly to a gnome who looks almost exactly like her, plus 20 years. You must be Mariam's friend, says the older woman. I'm Mariam's aunt, Sapphire. It's good to meet you. She welcomes you inside, and you step down into a blessedly cool, half-sunken common room, where a scattering of thick oak tables and sturdy chairs lies beneath rafters strung with herbs and root vegetables. Thick iron lanterns rest on each table, none lit now, and light streams in from tall windows against the south wall. Please have a seat, says the host, and you do. We made it, says Braxton, dropping heavily into a chair that creaks under her weight. I think I could have slept for a week. None of that, says Mariam. We have work to do. Braxton lifts her head and glares. Starting tomorrow, I guess. Let's all take today off. Mariam vanishes into a back room, then appears a few minutes later with a tray rattling with glass bottles of red liquid. Here, she says, and distributes the bottles. It's the least I can do for helping get me here safely. You gain 3 health potions, item A. Distribute these potions amongst yourselves as you choose.
Okay.
I feel like alchemists get first.
Yeah, you guys should take
one each.
Yep. You can carry multiple healing potions, however, there's only one copy of the healing potion item card.
Yeah.
So you use that as the reference.
Yeah, I got all that.
So you guys cool with that?
There's one more.
You guys take 2. One of you take 2, and one will take 1.
No,
like,
we should spread it around.
You think so?
Yeah.
We'll just take one each.
One of
Take
you
one.
should have one.
Take it.
Alright. So just put
You have survival,
Yeah,
so
we do get to look at the card now, though.
you have the survival.
There's more coming too.
Okay.
Sapphire returns a moment later with a larger tray, overflowing with plates of yellow eggs, loaves of dark brown bread, and a tall pitcher of milk. I hope you'll stay at the Swan for as long as you like, she says. No charge, of course. Not after what you went through to get my Mariam here safely. Mariam pours everyone a glass of milk. She holds hers aloft and exclaims, "To new roads!" Braxton takes a glass, holds it up, and looks for Miriam, to Sapphire to you. To new friends. The meal is amazing, and you soon collapse in rooms provided by your generous host. You doze through the majority of the day. After dinner, you rest in the common room, chatting idly with Braxton and another patron. Soon, the lack of a good night's sleep is too much, and you retire to your room. You will have to explore Dragonholt on the morrow. Several things. You each recover half of your maximum stamina.
Half. So
Is it rounded up?
So I would recover 6, which means I just
No, you recover 5, which is half of your maximum.
my max is 12.
Oh, it's even numbers now.
Yeah, everybody has an even number.
Alright.
Would it be back to max?
Looks like it.
I have no idea.
If you've lost more than
You
that,
recover. Oh shit! Yeah. You recover half your max, which should be like 6.
Yeah, so we're up to normal. Everybody's recovered fully.
you each recover 1 skill.
If we here's what happens. If your stamina gets to 0, you disable 1 skill of your choice, and then you go back to 1 stamina.
Okay.
So nobody has any disabled skills.
Okay. You each refresh your activation token.
Good.
You each gain 1 experience.
Ooh.
Your fame increases by 1.
Got it
Okay.
here. I got it here.
Okay.
Oh, that's a group-wide
Yes.
fame?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's totally tracking.
This quest is complete. Read entry 1001 in the Dragonholt Village book. Now, is that the next game?
I think so. I can just write that down. 1001.
Yeah, because it does say you have now completed the 2 New Roads quest. You will no longer read any
I
entries
see
from
that.
this quest.
It's
Very
your
right.
game.
And 1001 is this. It's just this big one that starts us off on the new. We wake up. When we start, we start.
I like this. This is
So
fun.
what y'all think?
This is fun.
Yeah,
I like it
that.
a lot, actually. It's a lot. I mean, there's no dice rolls. There's no card games.
Just
It's
Just choose your own adventure
Just-
with
it's
like
fun.
caveats.
Yeah, I mean, this is
Yeah.
fun. I'm willing for the next one.
We can do. We don't have to read
With a
this
quick
one
break.
on
With a
today.
quick break. You know.
We can do some some fast forward series, or Travis is in them too.
I don't know. I'm digging this.
Like eventually, we get to. I haven't looked at this yet, but pretty soon we get the map, and then we're starting to like pick where we go. I think.
All right, cool. No, I'm into this. Let's continue. Anybody say no?
I'm down.
You want to stop?
It's you guys. It's
So
you.
stop recording. Hey, that was fun. Let's do this again. Bye. See you later. Adios, amigos.
Adios.
Hey, we're in a